Well, good afternoon, and welcome to a conference sponsored by Hudson Institute, the Jerusalem Institute for Strategic Studies, and B'nai B'rith International. I'm Seth Cropsey, Senior Fellow at Hudson and Director of Hudson Center for American Sea Power. Dr. Eytan Cohen Yanarocak, yes, we'll discuss Turkey. Dr. Yanarocak analyzes Turkish politics and foreign policy at JISS. He received his doctorate from the Tel Aviv University School of History and is a lecturer at the same institution and also at the Ben Gurion University of Negev.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Being here is a great privilege. I'm honored. Today I would like to speak about Turkish foreign policy on the Eastern Mediterranean. First of all, in order to understand the fundamentals of this foreign policy, I would like to divert your attention to a term that Professor Efraim Inbar already mentioned, Mare Nostrum. When I was a little kid, I was born and raised in Turkey. Of course, as a Jewish Israeli, then this transition was very weird for me that I came to Israel later, but we were taught that the Mediterranean was a Turkish lake, okay? And from this perspective, we should understand that the ordinary Turkish citizen, when they are looking at the Eastern Mediterranean, they feel that this is their lake. And when we are speaking about Cyprus, for instance, we know that the Turkish occupation in Cyprus is since 1974, but in reality, the Turkish Ottoman Empire conquered the island in 1571. So we should understand the dynamics of this Turkish presence in Eastern Mediterranean in a deeper manner. And since 1974, we have a new fact on the ground called the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, and this republic is not basically recognized by the international community, but also not for the Republic of Cyprus. But we should also not forget that also Turkey is not recognizing this entity. So when we are looking at the Eastern Mediterranean, we are seeing that Turkey is not recognizing the exclusive economic zone maps of Republic of Cyprus, and also Cyprus is not recognizing the exclusive economic zone maps of Turkey and also of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. So we have here the conflict of many versions. Apart from that, in the Aegean Sea, we have the continental shelf disagreements in the islands of Rhodes and Castellorizo, and the recent Turkish-Libyan maritime border jurisdictional zone accord is also basically, again, diverting our attention to this ground, because when we are looking at the map, there is an agreement between Republic of Cyprus and Greece if we are talking about an axis of west to the east. And then we have another agreement right now, which was done by the Turkish government in the north, and in the south, the Libyan government. Of course, the Libyan government of national accord is not controlling the shores of Tobruk, the shores of the eastern side of the Libyan territories, according to this agreement. The Tobruk shores and the Turkish shores are considered as the basis of this maritime territorial deal. And on the middle, we have the median line. But of course, given the latest circumstances in Libya, Khalifa Haftar's Libyan National Army may put an end to this agreement, since Tripoli may even fall in very near future. Since we are talking about Turkish foreign policy, we also should speak about what Turkey is doing on the ground. And since 2011, Turkey is, in a very serious manner, brought a new strategy of the military presence in the Eastern Mediterranean. They built their navy, They are making some new reinforcements. There is a program called MILGEM, which is the acronym of the National Warship. Since 2011, they dispatched four warships, 2 seismic ships, and 2 drilling ships. And besides that, in March 2019, Turkey also launched a very impressive military drill in Black Sea, in Aegean Sea, and in the Eastern Mediterranean. Approximately 103 vessels took part in this military drill, and there were 4 important scenarios. One of the, from my perspective, the most important scenario was the occupation of an enemy island. When we are speaking about an enemy island, we are not talking about Cyprus, because the Turks are already there on the ground and they do not have to carry out an amphibic extraterritorial military action there. So when we are talking about the occupation of an enemy island, we are speaking about Castellorizo, Lesbos, Chios, the Greek islands, which are located very closely to Turkish shores. And approximately 2 months ago, I was the guest of the Ministry of the State Department of the United States, and there also my Greek colleagues, they also confirmed that they are very much frightened about this scenario. Besides that, another important scenario, of course, was the targeting of the enemy F-16s. If we are speaking about a member of NATO, Turkey, member of NATO, but describing F-16s as the hostile powers, as a hostile power. So regarding the identification friend and foe, so this is a huge question mark. What sort of a NATO member are we talking about? And another important scenario is the downing the enemy UAVs and the unmanned air vehicles. Again, when we are looking at the region, we do only see 2 important producers of the UAVs, apart from Turkey, Israel and Greece. So, given these war scenarios, we may understand that the Turks are trying to deter Israel, the Republic of Cyprus, and Greece. In July 2019, according to Tovima newspaper, Turkey brought to Cyprus secretly 42 German-made Leopard tanks. So we are seeing here a very serious brinkmanship policy. And this policy is also very much supported by the statements of the Turkish politicians. For instance, last year, the Turkish politicians, in a loud way, talked about a plan of inaugurating a new military bases in Cyprus in order to increase the rapid response ability of the Turkish armed forces. By the way, this military bases would be 7 times bigger than the biggest navy base in Turkey, which is located in Marmaris, Aksas. Now I'm going to conclude. When we are looking at the Eastern Mediterranean, Turkey is trying to send a very clear message. If you're going to have a party, you cannot dance without us. They are there with their navy. Now they are also doing their best in order to also recruit the international law with this new agreement with Libya. So, of course, we do see that Turkey is not a reliable partner. And, of course, from the Israeli perspective, we cannot rely on Turkey since we, unfortunately, have some escalations with Gaza Strip and maybe in the future with Lebanon. So we do not have the luxury to give the ability to Mr. Erdogan to close the taps whenever he wants. You may tell me that, but Mr. Erdogan is a rational player. He will not do that because he's also going to cause harm to his economy. But then I will tell you this sentence. Mr. Erdogan shut down the Russian jet in 2015. And during that particular time period, Russia was providing 55% of the natural gas that Turkey was consuming. 55%, okay? So, is it that rational? Maybe it's rational. From my perspective, it's not that rational. So we should be, very cautious about that. But again, if we would like to build this this pipeline, Israeli, Cypriot, Greek, and later to Italy, the Turks or should be persuaded, or should be deterred, or should be taken into this venture by giving them some percentages. But this issue should be addressed. And the key issue here is the Cyprus question. From the Turkish perspective, the issue is not money. From the Turkish perspective, the real issue is the issue of sovereignty. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Before a short break and moving to the next panel, so the floor is open. Hello? Oh, one thing. Would you, when recognized, please tell us your name and what association you have, where you work, who you're with, and please ask the question in the form of a question. Thanks.
Hello, Fratkin of the Hudson Institute, and wanted to thank my colleagues and all the participants for this conference. I wanted to ask Professor Yanarocak, I've got that right, his opinion about the Turkish initiative that he spoke of, and in particular how far he thinks Erdogan is willing to go to accomplish what he wants, and also what is it that he wants to accomplish. You mentioned, you put it I think this way, he wants to let everyone know that if there's going to be a party, he gets to celebrate. What is it he wants, and how far is he willing to go, and what risks is he willing to take to achieve?
Shall we? Okay. I must admit that the Turkish president is very much enjoying this kind of international tensions with non-Muslim countries. For instance, whenever there is a tension with Israel, Russia, China, United States, Holland, and etc., of course, Greece, Armenia, Cyprus. This basically is playing to his hands because the economic situation in his country is not doing very well. And whenever there is a friction with a non-Muslim country, so he's basically attracting the support of the masses, and people, instead of speaking about how much money do they make during a month, they are talking about Greece, Israel, Russia, or United States. Also for his own popularity at home, it's very much important, because he turned this whole issue. I mean, the Turkish foreign policy became his PR at home. So he tends to use this Turkish foreign policy for his own survival. And when we are talking about his survival, so he can go to the end. Because he knows very well that if he's going to be toppled, he's not going to go to fishing like his predecessors did in Western Turkey, but most likely his opponents will try to imprison him. And that's why he's just going with this brinkmanship policy in a very serious manner. He's also taking steps. He's sending the Turkish military not only to Eastern Mediterranean. You can also look at the northern Syria. We did not speak about northern Syria, but I think we cannot exclude northern Syria and the Turkish efforts of making northern Syria into a Turkish protectorate. We cannot ignore this, right? So how far he can take it. I think he can go further. But he should be deterred. He should be deterred by someone. Maybe Donald Trump may deter him. Maybe Donald Trump should lock himself again in the restroom and should tweet some. He should tweet, and he should shake the Turkish economy again and again. Maybe this is the language that Mr. Erdogan understands, as far as I understand. And your second question, what he wants. He wants to survive, and he wants to build a legacy. And it's not a secret that Mr. Erdogan is a huge admirer of Abdul Hamid II. From his perspective, Abdul Hamid II was, he wanted to be the savior of the Ottoman Empire, but the Jews and the Freemasons did not let him. So this is the revenge time. Okay, so this time again, just like Abdul Hamid II played a dual foreign policy between Great Britain and Germany. Then today, Mr. Erdogan is adopting a dual foreign policy vis-a-vis United States and Russia in order to maximize the Turkish interests. And when we are looking at the Eastern Mediterranean, whenever there is a friction with the Greek, it's very sexy. Okay, so this is always playing into his hands in terms of Turkish domestic policy.
I understand that the main impetus is domestic, but I don't think that we should underestimate the neo-Ottoman impulses of Erdogan and of the Turks. It's not only the AKP that has this neo-Ottoman dreams. We have other parties, that have this type of international appetite, and we see Turkish troops in Qatar, in the Horn of Africa, in Sudan. This is more than just political survival. So he has, of course, claims to lead the Muslim world. When part of the Muslim world is in trouble, he's a clear opponent of Egypt, of Saudi Arabia. So I think he plays a much larger game than just domestic politics.
Okay, so we're very close to agreement here. So let's take a break for 10 minutes, and then we'll have the second panel. And thank you, the first panel, for your participation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and you didn't have to say, but if you're interested, say.
Are we?
I saw you put something up.
I think that we should.
Bill, are we still mic'd?
Take this.
Abandon hope.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you. You talked about the Middle East being the barrier against the East. What I don't abandon hope is that, as you know, it took the West a long time to get to Lepanto. I mean, all sorts of bad things happened before the Venetians got pissed off enough to say,